nights to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade.
The boss is dead. Chairman Lee, who runs Se-young Group, which is also Korea's largest criminal organization, began to get rid of his own comrades, causing the corporation to collapse. That day, she lost everything. 1 year later, a guy bursts into the room of a girl named Lee Da-kyung and asks her if she's still not getting better. Not hearing anything in response, the guy walks closer to the couch where Da-kyung is lying wrapped in a plaid. He said that the girl should get up anyway, because he had found something interesting for her. The girl said she didn't care about that, and told the guy to disappear from her room. The guy said he had some news about the chairman, and the girl was immediately interested in it. She snapped out of her makeshift cocoon and snatched the paper out of the guy's hands. It was a picture of the school. The girl didn't understand anything and asked her friend what it could mean. The guy said that it wasn't exactly an ordinary school. Only the children of Korea's wealthiest chaebol. A chaebol is a large industrial conglomerate run and controlled by a person or family in South Korea. Study there. Roughly speaking, it was a high school for the majors. The guy said that the chairman's son just happens to attend this school, to which the girl was surprised that he even had a son. The guy said that although the chairman always said that there were no direct legal heirs to his place, but in fact, things were different, and the child was just carefully hidden from everyone. The guy continued to reason and said that defeating Chairman Lee by fighting him in the open would be simply impossible, especially for them. Plus, with the infiltration of the campaign, they had already screwed up enough. The girl realized what the guy was getting at and asked if they would really need to infiltrate the school. The guy said that the old man was old and would be retiring soon, so if his son took his place as chairman, he was the one to target. Chairman Lee had taken everything away from them. Now it was their turn. When sending Lee Da-kyung on the mission, her friend said that the only thing they knew about Chairman Lee's heir was that it was a boy. That's all the information available to them, so the girl needs to keep a low profile. She needs to find out everything she can about anyone who is even the slightest bit suspicious and inform the guy. That would be her assignment right now. The girl thought that it's all easy in words, but how will she find the right one here? Because there are a lot of guys here. While the girl was walking and dangling in her thoughts, she didn't notice how she hit some girl's shoulder. Her friend came up to her and asked Ji-young if she was okay and if she was hurt. The girl didn't answer her friend's question and only asked who the girl was. In the classroom, the teacher called the students to silence and told the whole class that there was a new student, and her name was Lee Da-kyung. The teacher advised the other students to make friends with Da-kyung, but the girl herself didn't seem to be thinking about that at the moment. After looking around at her new classmates, she thought that there was nothing unusual and walked over to the empty seat. The teacher had said that there would be no morning assembly today, so the students could just sit quietly until class started. Ji-young, who had been pushed by Da-kyung a few minutes ago, grinned as she looked at the girl and made a note to herself that she was new. Lee Da-kyung, as soon as she sat down, started texting her partner. He texted and asked how the girl got to school and if she noticed anything suspicious. The girl replied briefly that she hadn't found anything. Then the guy wrote that the most important thing in her assignment was to be vigilant and not to show the correspondence to anyone. At that moment, Ji-young walked up to Da-kyung's desk and kicked the unfortunate piece of furniture with her foot. Da-kyung managed to hide her phone in time and hold the desk in place with one hand. The girl asked what her classmate needed from her, and Ji-young was even a little scared because the girl's reaction was strange and too calm. But in time to pull herself together and not lose the angry look on her face, Ji-young said that Da-kyung was a real jerk and asked if the girl was taught to apologize when crashing into someone. Da-kyung asked what the hell Ji-young was talking about, but Ji-young let her classmate's words pass her ears and asked her friend Kim Soo-jung if her father had said anything about which entrepreneur's daughter was transferring to them. Soo-jung said that she hadn't heard about it, and since neither she nor Ji-young knew about it, it only meant that Lee Da-kyung was a fourth-ranked student and was very lucky to get into an elite school. Da Kyung looked at her classmate and wondered what kind of rank system nonsense she was talking about. Meanwhile, Ji-young explained that their school had a 4-rank system. The school has a hierarchy based on the position of the family. Families close to the president, members of parliament and conglomerates, and other high-ranking people are the highest rank, which is the first rank. The second rank includes entrepreneurs, celebrities, and the simply rich. Those who know the higher-ups through social gatherings outside of school are in the third rank. The rest are unknown people like Lee Dae-kyung, who are in the fourth rank. After Ji-young explained the ranking system, she said that Da Kyung, who doesn't even reach the fourth rank, has no right to talk to Ji-young, who is a second ranker. Approaching the new girl's face, Ji-young said that if she didn't want to die, then she better not arise. Satisfied with herself, the girl turned around and walked away, while her friend giggled at the fact that Ji-young had scared the new girl so much that she wouldn't even do anything. But Dae-kyung didn't care about those girls. On the contrary, she thought the ranking information that Ji-young had told Ji-young was very useful for her assignment, because since the first-ranked students were the children of very powerful people, she should only check all the first and second-ranked students. The bell that signaled lunchtime finally rang. In the cafeteria, Dae-kyung was pleasantly surprised because this school gave steaks to the students for lunch. Sitting at lunch, the girl thought that working under such conditions was wonderful. As soon as she wanted to start her lunch, a message came on her phone. She immediately grabbed her phone and there was a message from her coworker. He was a bit indignant that he asked her to report every hour and the girl didn't. The girl replied that even a dog doesn't get touched when it eats and asked if she was worse than a dog. The guy texted her to not show her temper at school. Just when she thought about how pissed off her partner was and decided to finally take up her food, Ji-young walked up to her. The girl purposely twisted her food tray right into Da-kyung's food and pretended not to notice her. Da-kyung was literally infuriated by this. She didn't understand what they all wanted from her. She was already thinking of nailing that girl somewhere. Looking at her tray, she realized that thanks to her classmates' nastiness, she now had 2 steaks and thought that maybe Ji-young wasn't such a bitch after all. Suddenly, Ji-young's girlfriend intervened and tried to take the steak from Dae-kyung's tray and said that if her friend didn't want to eat, she could just give her portion to her. This act made Da-kyung very angry, and she clutched at the girl's arm and told her in a threatening voice to put the meat back. Ji-young looked at this and took the fork away from her friend and threw it away along with the steaks. She said she didn't give up that steak for nothing and wanted to say that she warned Dae-kyung to keep her head down. But Da-kyung was so furious at the girl's behavior that she forgot about her partner's request to keep her temper and be as quiet as possible. She stood up abruptly and grabbed Ji-young by her shirt and slammed her into the table. Grabbing a fork, she swung around and wanted to stab the girl in the eye with the cutlery, but stopped in time. This show was seen by all the students gathered in the cafeteria, and they started to discuss it. Some of them suggested to stop the girl, and some of them couldn't understand what kind of girl she was. A little overcome with his aggression, Da-kyung puts down his fork and, stepping away from Ji-young, walks out of the dining hall. Ji-young, completely shocked, slides off the table and seems to be completely unaware of what's going on right now. Her friends immediately run up to her and ask her what happened and how Ji-young is feeling, but the girl couldn't say anything and even wet herself because of the stress. As she left the dining room, Da-kyung thought that she should have gotten rid of her habit of getting excited at the sight of food. Suddenly, some guy appears in front of her and smiles, claps her and tells her that it was cool to watch her take down Jung. The girl couldn't understand what the guy wanted, but the guy immediately said he wanted to be friends with her and asked for her name. The girl thought about whether to tell him her name or not, but she remembered that her partner had asked her to find out as much as she could about anyone who was suspicious and tell him. Then the girl still said her name was Lee Tae-young, and she transferred today. The guy said his name was Han Jong-un, and after digging into his phone for a bit, he handed the smartphone to the girl, asking for his number. At that moment, students started to come out of the dining hall, and when they noticed this, they started to whisper that since Han Jong-un was taking the new girl's number, she was obviously a high-ranking girl, especially since what she did to Jung was unthinkable for someone of lower rank. After giving the guy her number, Da-kyung thought that it was certainly great that a potential target had come to her on her own, except she didn't understand why everyone was staring at them abruptly. That could have been a problem. The girl handed the phone to Jong-un and was about to leave, but the guy cleverly got in her way and asked where she was going. He said that if she was going to the cafeteria, he would like to walk there together since he thought Da-kyung hadn't eaten. The girl said she shouldn't do that and wanted to go in another direction, but the annoying guy blocked her path again and asked why she didn't want to go with him. Because there was nothing to do and Da-kyung was obviously hungry. The girl still refused and wanted to go in the other direction, but again the guy blocked her way. He did so several times, offering to take a walk together because he knows a beautiful place with a good view, and then offered to show her the school because Dae-kyung had just transferred. The girl felt uncomfortable and decided to run away from him, hoping that he wouldn't follow her. Having closed in the toilet stall, the girl decided to call her partner. He immediately started joking that she was only on her first day of school, but had already managed to find a suitor and asked his name. The girl was in no mood to joke and said that guy's name was Han Jong-un and asked her partner to see if there was any information about him. The guy tried to run Jong-un's name, but it turned out that it wouldn't be that easy since access to personal data was blocked. The guy said that this would probably be the case for every student at this school. The girl said that, in that case, the partner just needed to put more effort into it. After all, he is a hacker after all. The guy replied that he was a hacker, of course, but not a wizard. There's a multi-layered defense system here, so he's powerless, so they need to change the plan. Now Da-kyung needs to get close to him and find out more. The girl sighed and asked what it would take to befriend the guy. Her partner was surprised at such a question and called her a dummy, but said to listen carefully. He said that, as a man with a lot of experience in lovemaking, he would give her a couple ways. First, the girl should impose herself as naturally as possible to go home with him. She can chat about all sorts of nonsense at the same time and he can tell her something. Then you can offer to eat together tteokbokki, which students love so much. Then you can have a snack at some cozy cafe and take pictures for social media. Finish on this will be sad, so you can also go to karaoke. And in the evening, the girl can walk next to him in the setting sun and hint that she does not want to go home, offering to eat ramen. The girl skeptically asked if this could work, to which he received the answer that the option is a win-win. She'll also need to make friends with some of the girls because if she gets close to them, she'll learn information about the other students. But most importantly, she would have to remember about the ramen. The girl dropped the call and thought it was already a waste to ask her partner what to do. Coming out of the restroom, Da-kyung looked around and hoped that Jong-un had already given up. The girl suddenly thought about the fact that Lee's surname was quite common. Then why was it necessary to hide the heir's name? Realizing that she didn't want to waste her time on this, the girl wanted to leave, but suddenly she heard Ji-young's voice yelling at someone and demanding to give something back. She argued with the guys, one of whom asked who the hell she was to demand to give his phone back. Then the girl demanded to delete those pictures and said that he had no right to take pictures of other people's missteps. Da-kyung decided to find out what was going on and remembered her partner's words about her needing to make friends with some of the girls, but she was so reluctant to do so. The guy said that even if Ji-young tried to do something, it's unlikely that she would succeed. She can act all she wants, but that kind of thing won't pass in front of Jae Ha-yoon. He said that his parents work for Ji Hyun's father, and he's not likely to just let that spit in his direction. He said that he really enjoys seeing how stuck-up Hwang Ji-young can't even say a word. If that's the case, he'll put the photo on Facebook too. The girl told him not to dare to do that, but suddenly, Lee Dae-kyung appeared and pulled the guy's hand down with a sudden movement. She asked Ji-young what happened, and she said that the guy had pictures of her peeing and wanted to put them online. The guy was furious that the girls were ignoring him and asked if they thought he wasn't capable of hitting a girl. Then Da-kyung just took his phone away from him and gave the item to Ji-young, telling her to delete everything and remember to clean the cloud. This finally pissed the guy off and he swung around to hit Da-kyung. but the girl easily dodged and knocked him out with a sharp move. After calmly asking Ji-young if she was done, Dae-kyung took her phone from her and placed it next to the guy, took her hand and led her away from that place. The other guy who was watching this scene immediately started waking up the main person in their company, Ji Hyun. After taking off his night blindfold to sleep, Ji Hyun asked what happened. Then the other guy said that Oh Won-jun got a good beating from a girl and now he's lying unconscious. Ji Hyun asked the girl's name, and the guy pointed to where they were going and said that the girl's name was Lee Da-kyung, and she was new. The girl sat on the stairs and Da-kyung happily ate the goodies that Ji-yeon bought her in gratitude. Da-kyung told her classmate to eat too, but she said she didn't want to because she was on a diet. Looking at a satisfied Dae-kyung eating her food, Ji-young wondered who she was and what kind of family she was from. She does whatever she wants, throwing herself into fights. This was actually the first time she heard the name Lee Da-kyung. Ji-young couldn't understand who the girl's parents were, that she lets herself do such a thing. The girl's thoughts were interrupted by Dae-kyung, who out of nowhere decided to apologize for crashing into Jung back at the beginning of the day. She said that she was just daydreaming and didn't notice the girl. Ji-young was a little confused and told Da-kyung not to hold a grudge against her for all the antics either, because she was a little over the top. Da-kyung looked at how embarrassed her classmate was and thought that she was just embarrassed to apologize to someone. Suddenly, she decided to ask Ji-young a question and asked if she knew Han Jung-woon. The girl said she knew the guy and asked why Da-kyung was asking that. Da-kyung said she was just curious, but Ji-yeon thought she had a crush on the guy. Da-kyung got a little angry about it, and then the girl apologized just in case, not wanting to be a victim of violence. She said that Han Jong-un is always friendly and smiles at everyone, but sometimes it seems like there's something wrong with him and he's a little intimidating. Da-kyung asked why he's the one who's scary, and then the classmate said that it all happened on the first day after enrollment. At that time, a crowd of high school students came to see the first incoming students. Jung asked if Da-kyung knew the foreign minister, Woo Guang-shik. His son was of the highest rank and older than them, and as luck would have it, Jung-woon ran into him specifically. Nothing was known about the newcomer, so he was immediately assigned to the lower ranks. The minister's son was hurt that someone of the fourth rank dared to talk to him like that. From that day on, Jung-woon's school life became unbearable. It even got violent. Every day, the minister's son harassed Jong-un for no reason, but despite this, Jong-un tolerated it all with a smile on his face. It seemed like he just didn't have a choice, but one day in art class, the elder poured a whole bucket of dirty water on him. That day, the normally smiling guy was very different, looking rather strange. A silence hung in the classroom, and everyone thought that something scary was about to happen. However, he once again just turned a blind eye to everything. The next day, the high school student suddenly disappeared. Da-kyung asked in surprise if he really disappeared. Jung said he disappeared without a trace, and they never heard from him again. Jung said it was strange because the guy was the son of the foreign minister. Because of that incident, everyone thought that Han Jung-woon was being covered up by a powerful person. Lee Da-kyung thought about it and decided that there was a possibility that Jung-woon was the one she was looking for. Ji-young chuckled and said that after that incident, a lot of people started to wonder if Jung-un killed that guy. Suddenly, the object of the girls' discussion was sitting next to them. The guy said that they have an amazing imagination. The stunned Ji-young covered her mouth with her hands, while Da-kyung was just surprised. The girl took Jong-un's hand and took him aside. She wondered what was wrong with this guy and didn't realize if he had heard everything. Da-kyung took the guy outside and put him against the wall and asked him why he was chasing her tail. The guy said with a carefree smile that he just had an awakened interest. Da-kyung didn't understand why he was so calm. She wondered if she should take her partner's advice. Suddenly, Da-kyung asked if Han Jung-woon really liked her, to which the guy replied positively. The girl thought he was kidding, but if it was true, it would be even easier for her. She gathered her courage and decided to invite the guy to eat ramen together. The guy was surprised by this and asked again if it was at his house. The girl said he was, to which the guy laughed. He said that Da-kyung was funny, and since she wanted to, they could meet after school and he would make her ramen. The girl was a little surprised that this method actually worked. Once classes were over, Jong-un was waiting for Lee Da-kyung right outside the door to her classroom. As they walked out of the school, all the students looked at them strangely. Jong-un asked why the sudden change in attitude. She is now offering him to eat ramen together, while she was avoiding him at first. The girl said she pondered and decided that she wouldn't mind befriending him. She asked if his parents would be okay with Jung-woon having a friend over, and if it was okay to just show up at his place. The guy said Da-kyung shouldn't worry about it because he lives alone. The guy asked if everything was okay because Da-kyung was going to the house of a guy she was practically seeing for the first time. The girl asked what the problem was. Jung-woon said that it could be a dangerous venture, right? Da-kyung asked who it could be a dangerous venture for, to which the guy told her to just forget it. When they got to Jong-un's house, the girl noticed that the apartment was a little empty, and there was nothing interesting to see. She was already starting to doubt if she could find out anything. Jong-un offered the girl something to drink. He said he had coffee, water, and aloe juice. The girl said she wanted the aloe juice. The guy poured her juice and said the girl could look around while he made quick work of it. The girl waited until he went into the other room and discreetly inserted the flash drive into the computer on the table and waited for the data to load. While she waited, she wondered if Jong-un was even human or not. Everything in the apartment literally glistened with cleanliness. Surprisingly, the guy's house is pretty modest, especially considering the rumors. Suddenly, the girl noticed a photo album on one of the shelves and looked at the pictures of little Jong-un. The girl noticed that the guy hasn't changed at all, except that he has the same indifferent look in all the photos. But that was nothing compared to the fact that there were no pictures of his family anywhere in the album. Suddenly, Da-kyung called out to the guy, and she immediately put the album back down, asking what the guy wanted. All he wanted to ask was if the girl preferred ramen with or without egg. The girl said it would even be 2, and asked if she could have more juice. The guy said the juice was in the fridge and asked to serve it. As soon as the girl turned around to go to the fridge, she accidentally elbowed the ramen pot and the entire contents spilled out onto Jung-woon. The girl quickly reacted and told him to take off his clothes, to which the guy was surprised but took off his shirt. The girl apologized to Jong-un by throwing ice in the tub where the guy was sitting. Jong-un said it was okay and he wasn't hurt. The girl objected and said that it wasn't nothing because a whole pot of boiling water poured on him. The guy said he was fine and only got a couple drops on him, but the girl told him to shut up. The girl thought she needed to get herself together since she had already made a mess of things on her first day of being at school. Looking over the guy's body, the girl thought he looked skinnier with his clothes on. It looked like exercising wasn't on the top of his list. Comparing that to what she'd learned earlier, he could very well be the one she was looking for. Her musings were interrupted by a guy and said that she was devouring his gaze too greedily and he was embarrassed. The girl blushed and said the guy was talking nonsense. After gathering her courage, she said that in 10 minutes the guy could get out of the tub and change his pants. As soon as the guy got out of the tub, the girl told him to come over and put a bandage on the injured area. She said that everything looks good and the maximum that Jung-woon is in danger of getting is a first-degree burn. However, the affected area isn't small, and it would be better for him to go to the hospital. The girl notices the guy staring at her and asks what the problem is. Jung-woon said he suddenly remembered how Da-kyung finished off Jiyoung, and now she's also professionally administering first aid. She reminded the guy of a spy from an action movie. The girl thought that the guy was very close to the truth and it was time to stop doing nonsense. She asked the guy to sit down. Da-kyung said that from now on she would ask the questions and the guy should answer clearly and to the point. She asked why and since when the guy was living separately. The guy said he just wanted to live alone. He wanted to ask why the interrogations were even happening. But the girl interrupted him and asked if it was because of a strained relationship with his parents, or maybe there were some other reasons. The guy said they aren't that close. Da-kyung said that since it's personal, then we need to go back a little bit and remember what Hwang Jiyoung said. Guy wanted to ask what she meant, but she asked if it was true without even listening. The guy called the girl by name and asked if she was here to give him an interrogation. The girl seemed to wake up and apologized and said she got a little carried away. The guy said it was fine. It was just that this amount of questions was very unexpected. He said he was surprised that the girl was so interested in him. Now he decided to find out more about the girl and asked where she had come to their school from. The girl answered with pre-prepared phrases that she had transferred from an ordinary school on the outskirts of Seoul. The guy asked about the reason for the transfer, to which the girl said it was because of the movie. Jung-woon said that the girl's parents must have been influential enough for her to transfer to their school. The girl thought that she didn't want to bring up the topic of family. Jung-woon said he noticed that she didn't pay attention to her classmates' attempts to show her superiority. He is sure that her loved ones are good people, and he would like to know more about them. Dae Kyung said her parents are simple and warm people. After sitting for a while, she said it was time for her to leave. The guy asked if it was time for her to go, to which the girl said she'd better not stay too long. She thought she had downloaded the data and looked at everything, so that was enough for today. The guy asked if she knew the meaning of the phrase eat ramen. The girl didn't understand why the guy asked that. Jung-woon said that his intuition was right and he should have said that. When the guy explained the meaning of the phrase, the girl blushed and thought she was going to kill her partner. The guy grinned and asked if the girl could stay a little longer, but she said she'd rather go. Suddenly her phone rang and after apologizing, she went into the bathroom to answer it. The girl answered it and asked what was wrong, because she texted that she was going to Jung-woon's house. But instead of answering, the girl heard her partner screaming. She immediately ran out of the bathtub and told Jung-woon that she had something important to do and quickly ran out of the guy's apartment. As Da Ki-young ran to her house, she wondered what was going on with her partner. She thought someone had attacked him, but she couldn't even imagine who, because to the rest of the world they no longer existed. Finally running home, she opened the door and was horrified. The apartment was trashed, and in the middle of the room, a wounded Cho Dae-hoon was sitting on a chair. The girl asked if the guy was alive and rushed to him, but a man swung a bat at her from behind. The girl reacted quickly and blocked the blow with her hand and, trying to see the attacker's face, asked who he was. Without waiting for an answer, the girl hit the unknown man and he fell to the floor, got up very quickly and ran away. The girl wondered how this man could have found her and Dae-hoon, and if it was Chairman Lee's efforts. Cho Dae-hoon woke up already in the hospital. The first person he saw in front of him was Dae Ki-young. The first thing he asked the girl was what had happened to her arm, as she had a big bruise after being hit with the bat. The girl ignored the question and said that the guy didn't need to move since the stitches had just been done recently. Da Ki-young asked what really happened to the guy and how he managed to lose to one person. Dae-hoon said he didn't know how it happened. His last memory was of the stranger going through his computer, apparently collecting the data they had, but it wasn't clear to the guy why they would leave him alive in such a case. It also wasn't clear why he was working alone. The girl said that there was no need to think about it now. Without the right information, it was useless to fill one's head with theories. Da Kyung said that they needed to look for a place for a new base and get rid of all evidence related to them. At that moment, she tossed the guy a flash drive that had all the information from Jung-woon's computer on it. She said that the guy would need to study them. Dae-hoon immediately perked up and asked how that boy was doing and if they had a good time. The girl didn't like that and hit the guy. Taking him by the collar, she said that he should have warned him about what those words meant if he wasn't in a hurry to go to the other world. This picture was seen by a nurse who came to the ward and kicked the girl out of the room. The girl decided to go out on the roof of the building to think about her own thoughts for a while. Suddenly, she remembered her former boss. She remembered how the woman had advised her not to worry so much because Da Kyung was doing well as it was. Da Kyung thought that if the boss were alive right now, she would probably say something like that. Da Kyung stood next to a guy who was smoking a cigarette without even noticing him. Thinking it was time for her to go back and clean up the office, she turned around and wanted to leave when suddenly the guy called her name. The girl turned around and looked around for the guy. Not remembering him, she asked if they knew each other. The guy looked at her and said that means she was the one who beat up Oh-won Jun. The girl didn't realize who she was talking about until the guy came out on the roof. When he noticed Da-kyung, he got angry and rushed towards her and swung to hit her. But his fist was intercepted by the guy with the cigarette. Won-jun said that the girl was just lucky that Jae-hun was here, and if she catches Won-jun's eye one more time, she's finished. Won-jun quickly returned to the hospital building. Da-kyung asked why Jae-kyun needed to stop Won-jun. The guy replied that he was sick of seeing how some people think they're above others just because of their parents' status. As for Dae-kyung, she shouldn't be conceited because she can fight. He advised the girl to keep her head down and sit quietly for a while, happy that everything had turned out okay this time. The girl abruptly turned to the guy and took the cigarette from him and threw it away. She thanked the guy for the advice and asked him to remind her what his name was. The guy was amazed at how the girl was able to steal his cigarette without him even noticing it. He said his name was Lee Jae-hyun. The girl thought that, because of Lee's last name, he might also be the one she and Tae-hoon were looking for. Turning around to leave, the girl said that the guy would smoke when he got older, since he was still in high school. When the door behind Da-kyung slammed shut, the guy thought it just sounded like a lecture from an adult. The next day at school, Da-kyung was just sleeping on her desk after such an eventful night. Suddenly, someone called out to the girl. Reluctantly rising from her makeshift sleeping place, the girl asked who was bothering her and saw Jung-woon in front of her. He was smiling and asked if the girl had gotten home okay yesterday. The girl didn't understand what the guy was asking. Then he asked if Dae-kyung hadn't read his messages. The girl didn't even remember if the guy had texted her. When she wanted to pull out her phone to check that, Jong-un grabbed her hand and pulled on it a little. The girl yelped and asked what he was doing and what he wanted from her. Rolling up the sleeve of his shirt, the guy's gaze revealed a huge bruise on the girl's forearm, sealed with a band-aid. Looking at the bruise, he asked who dared to do that. The girl didn't understand what the guy wanted, and then he asked who dared to do that to Da-kyung.